Hey, this is Paul. Thank you for joining me here at Les Brown's Guitars. So, there are certain aspects of a guitar that are very important to each individual player. And I think one of the most important aspects is the way the back of the neck is shaped. How it feels when it's in your hand. Very important. If it's not comfortable, you're not going to want to play the guitar. So, today I'm going to show you how I carve the backs of these necks. How I contour the necks. Okay, this particular neck comes off of this guitar body right here. This is my endorsement artist, No Clay's Artisan. I built this thing, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. He loves the way this thing sounds, loves the way it plays, other than he's not into this D-shaped shape on the back of the neck anymore. He likes more of a C shape and thicker. This is kind of a thin neck. So his playing style has changed a little bit over the years. So what he wanted was for me to make another one, another neck that will fit on this body that is just like the one I put on his Impulse that I just built him. He loves the way that the neck is shaped. So we're going to pretty much duplicate the same shape on that neck for this guitar right here. So that this way, when he goes out, he'll have two Les Bronsons to take with him. Both necks will feel exactly the same. And he'll be able to pull off all this double stop stuff with this guitar because it's got a hardtail bridge. This one's got the hip shot bridge on it. The other guitar, the Impulse, has a floored rose, and it's a non-fine tuning without a lock and nut. He can actually do double stops on that pretty good, but he has to work a little harder to get it right. So he can do all his other subtle whammy bar stuff with that guitar, and then he can do all this double stop stuff with this guitar. And all he needs is two guitars. So we're at the point now with this neck that all I gotta do is carve it out. I want to show you how I do it. This is the first step in the process. I have to taper the back side of this neck from thicker here to thinner there. How I do that is with this jig in conjunction with my safety planer on my drill press. Let me explain to you how this works. I've already done this already, so I'm just going to explain it to you. So what I'll do is I'll establish a thickness on the 1st fret and the 12th fret. I'll add about 3 to 4 thousandths of an inch to it. Then I'll strike a line along the side of this neck. And then I level this neck out, so it'll bring this top end, this headstock end up with that wedge right there. And I'm going to level that out to the blades of my safety planer. Once I establish that, I clamp it down, I clamp it into the jig, tighten up these screws. It's not going to go anywhere because I've got sandpaper in between to kind of create friction to hold it in place. Once I get that set, I get that line set, then I'll take it under my safety planer and I'll take small passes and I'll start carving this down. It's going to make the taper. Once I get to my final thickness, that line right there, which is, like I said, 3 to 4 thousandths above my final thickness overall, I'll take this out. I'll take it to my spindle sander. I'll sand out this area right here and this area right here, like you see. And then it's ready for the next step. Here's my holding fixture. It holds it nice and flat. I've got a little wedge over here to compensate for the headstock angle. I just put a couple clamps on it and I clamp it to my bench. There's a couple holes right here. There's a hole here, like a half moon, and a half moon here. This is the 1st and 12th fret. These are areas where I can get a measurement from on both sides. So what I've done here is I've drawn a set of lines. Hopefully you can see those. Right here is a center line. That's the main line I need, the first line I need. This is where the carve comes at the heel of the neck. It's about 3/8 of an inch away from the actual heel of the body. And that's where I'm going to start stepping it down. And of course you got the volute on this end. This volute is actually not finished yet. I still got to go a little further, but I always wait till at the end to finish that up. Okay, so I've got my center line. I've got my 1st and 12th fret areas marked off where I can measure. So I take a measurement from the center line out on both sides, and this end is 3/8 of an inch, and this side is 7/16 of an inch, and I draw a line on both sides. And then on both sides of the neck, I measure from the top of the fret, the fingerboard, to this line right here at the 1st fret. That's at 7/16 of an inch. On this side, it's a 1/2 inch. And I strike a line all the way across there and all the way across here. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to carve this area out, this corner. I want to take this corner all the way down, both sides, until these lines meet up, flat across like this. To explain this a little bit, I got a diagram. So as you can see, here's the 12th fret. This is the fingerboard. This is the shape I'm after on the back of the neck, the profile. And basic thicknesses here. This is not exact to scale to this one, but this will give you a good idea of what I'm talking about. And what I'm doing is I'm measuring, I'm taking this measurement, okay, and I'm coming out, right here it says 7/16 of an inch. And then I'm coming up a 1/2 inch here. That's the amount of wood I'm hogging off of it right here on both sides. So that's going to establish the rounding of the neck. Same thing for the 1st fret position. It's got different numbers, but I'm still taking out this area right here and this area right here. So after that's said and done, I'm going to have a point here and a point here on both sides. I'm going to take those out as well. I'm going to sand and file. And then I'm going to start rounding it. So I normally start out with a small handheld grinder. It's a right angle grinder. And I'll take the majority of the material out on these parts right here. And then I'll switch over to some files and some rasps. And then once all that's done, I start defining the volute and the heel. Okay? So hopefully that explains it pretty good. But you'll see everything in process here in the next set of videos. I'm going to speed things up, maybe just kind of skip through some things, but you'll get the gist of how I'm carving this thing out. What I have here is the angle grinder, and I've got a 36 grit. I think it's a 36 grit. It's a 36 grit on here, and I'm going to use this to take most of the majority of the wood off of these corners right here. This may be a little bit loud. I'll turn the volume down on the video, but you also may hear my compressor kick on every once in a while because it is a pneumatic tool and it does use up a lot of CFM. All right, so here we go. All right, so that was the 36 grit, and I had to wait a minute. Well, this thing really sucks down the CFM. I'm gonna take the 36 off. I'm gonna go to the 80 grit, and I'm getting close, but this is just gonna refine things a little bit, and then I won't get all the way to the edges. I'm pretty close right here. I need to stop in that area actually, but then I'll take over with the hand tools. was actually burning the wood. 30 grit's a little better, but those must go away. Okay, that's good enough for now. With that tool, I'm just going to do this one side for you. I have a rasp here. It's nice and wide and flat in one end. This gives me much better control. Alright, I'm right on the line here, and almost right on the line here. Let's go a little bit more. And you'll get it as close as you can. So hopefully you can see now I've got a corner here, and I've got a corner here basically. So with this area nice and flat, just checking it with a flat edge. Like this ruler, it's nice and straight across, maybe a little bit up here. Take this down a little bit here. And this side here. These ends get a little more of a different treatment later because of the curve we're getting here. Nice and flat. And I may be getting a little anal about this, but I'm all about perfection. So now I'm going to take off this corner and this corner with the same tool. Maple's a very hard wood. If I want to get a little more aggressive, since this is hardwood, I'll go to this more coarser file here. Now this whole time, I'm going to stay away from this center line. I don't want to touch this till near the end. And then I start adjusting the thickness. At this point, I'm starting to round it out. And I'll keep doing this until I get that shape, but I'm going to stop here. I'll do the other side just like I did here. Then I'll come back to you. And I'll show you how I use this tool. This is my gauge that I made. It's out of some of this acrylic material. And that's going to go at the 1st and the 12th fret. And that's going to show me my shape. This is the shape I always do. This is my soft C shape. Exactly what the customer wants on this. Alright, so I got the other side done. I'm going to really start rounding it out. I'm going to stay away from that center line. And periodically, I'll go ahead and check my contour. See if I'm still on track. Got a lot more to take off the sides here. I've also got these smaller files. These files are nice, they really cut. This is what I use to refine these areas right here. Alright, using this tool, I can see them really close. Really close. I just got along this area right here, I got a little bit too much material there. I got to take that off. That'll drop down because I got a space on top, and it's the right shape. I just have to get rid of these shoulders a little bit right here, and this piece will come down. It'll contour exactly. This will contour exactly to this template. So let me take a little bit more off, and I'm going to use this rasp here. Okay, I've got it pretty good now. It's just about spot on, and I'm going to make sure everything's level in a moment. But I'm going to get, I'm going to work on this area right here. I'm going to define this volute area, and I'm going to use this file right here. This is, I don't know what they call this. It's a sharp, very sharp file though. I think they call it a razor file or something. Anyway, I'm just going to get in here and work on this area right here. I've also got a flat one. This one's got a curve to it. This one's flat. That's good for knocking off these corners up here. I got to get close to this line now, so I've got a lot of material to take off here, so it ramps up nice and even. A lot of work still yet to do, but we are getting it. You can see the shape. It's definitely taking shape now. So after I get these cleaned up, I'll end up using this stick right here. It's got 80 grit, sticky back on both sides, and I just run it across this way. That keeps everything straight. And I put pencil marks on it. Pencil marks to see where the highs and lows are. But you'll see that in a minute. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Let me work on the rest of these. Okay, this is how I'm going to get my volute to come up to this line. I got a flat sander here tipped on its backside. I've got this little attachment in here. It's a little jacking plate. It's got a screw in the bottom to jack this plate up to bring it closer to sandpaper. And that's going to finish off the back side of the neck, the headstock. And it's also going to go into this volute. It's going to shape this volute the way I want it to be. Alright, so here we go. Using 220 because I don't want to put big sand scratches in it now at this point. This is going to thickness the headstock down to exactly where I need it to be now. And it's going to make that volute. things. I'm doing my final thickness on the headstock and finishing up my volute. Now that I got that volute fixed, I'm going to go ahead and shape it out. Okay, so both ends are shaped up pretty good. Now I'm going to start doing some sanding here. Set this just right for you. Like I said, I've got this stick. The stick has got 80 grit on it. It's perfectly level. And I'm going to run it all the way around and round that out. I'll take some pencil and I'll put some pencil marks on it. And this will show me all the high, low spots. This is definitely not perfect yet, but it will be when I'm done with it. All these pencil marks are going to go away. So now I know I basically stayed away from the center. Now I'm going to work everything. And as I go along, I'm going to be measuring. And I've definitely got some ways to go there. And a ways to go there. So I'll keep monitoring it with this as I'm sanding. And on the ends here, because I kind of stop at the fingerboard, there's a little bit of a corner there, just very slightly, and I'll take that out with this right here. I won't really take much off the sides of it here, but I'll just kind of roll into it as I sand, and that's going to take care of that little corner of that rosewood. And this thing doesn't go to full length of the board, but there's more to follow anyways. Roll these edges a little bit. Okay, now you can see where all the high and low marks are. This is a high mark, these are low marks. High here, low here. So I'll just keep going along with this until I get that, and I'll keep marking it with the pencil until I get it all nice and straight all the way around, while still retaining this shape as well. Alright, so I got a piece of 100 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to go along this way. When you're using this stick, you're not really addressing much of this end or this end right here. So this is going to even everything out. I'll pay attention to this side here. I'm going to shoe shine all the way down. I'll pay attention to this side a little bit more. I want this transition to be nice and smooth up to the volute. There's a little bit of a bump right here, but we'll clean that up with some more handwork later. Alright, just about done. I'm just going to work on these transitions right here. Get these nice and smooth. Shape that volute out. And down here as well, where the heel transitions. I'm going to keep that line that I drew nice and crisp. Make sure it feels good in your hand. Now later on, I'll take it out of this thing and I'll run my hand along it and feel it. And there'll be some more fine sanding with some higher grits. But pretty much that's it right there. And I can tell right here just by feeling it, I've got a bit of a hump right here and here on the sides. So I want to make sure that is smoothly transitioning into the headstock right here. So I'll work on that on both sides. It's all about feel from here on out, really. But this is perfectly straight. I finished off with this again. It's perfectly straight and smooth already. That feels good. I've got it measured out to the thickness I need it to be at. It's probably less than a thousandth over, which not a big deal, because that's going to come down a little bit more when I do some more sanding on this thing. I'm going to be sanding on this with different grits, smoothing it out. So, all right. So from here, I'll just work these areas here and here, and then I'll come back to you one more time and we'll do some fine sanding. All right, now I'm going to get through the grits here and get all the 80 and 100 grit sanding marks off of this, and do some really fine tuning to different areas of the neck, especially around the volute here. Just kind of blend things in together. So I've got a piece of 180 here, and none of this stuff's been defined yet. I'm doing it now. And you know, it's just a matter of showing some patience and just getting this thing butter smooth while retaining the shape that you wanted. All these transitions. And I'm just going to go up and grit and do the same thing around all these areas. They're pretty good. This feels really good in my hand. They're really smooth transitions. The thumb feels right. This fingerboard has a rollover on the edges as well. So it feels really good. It feels just like what the customer's wanting. All right, so I'm going to finish up with some 220 here. Anything more than this is getting into the finishing stages anyway. So let's see if I can show you this. Line this up, first fret, and see, I get behind the camera here. You can see the shape. Get the right spot there. Around the 12th fret here. I've got the shape I need. It feels good. Feels good in the hand. I'm just gonna, like I said, finish up with some 220. And it's gonna get rid of those 180 scratches. Get into this area a little bit, all around the volutes, or the volute. And then the heel. Transition into the heel. Like I said, anything after this 220 is really just going to be prepping for finish, and this is going to get an oil finish. But I've got the shape right. It's nice and smooth. Feels good in the hand. I'll have to clean up this fingerboard again, get all the dust off it, and I'll polish up these ends a little bit again because I did hit them a little bit with sandpaper. And I'll buff up, I'll buff up these edges of the frets, I should say, real nice. Okay. So that about wraps it up for this video. Like I said, one of the most important things, one of the most important aspects I feel in a guitar is the way the contour feels on the neck. So if it doesn't feel good in your hand, you're not going to want to play that guitar. And that's the way I contour my necks. This happens to be a soft C kind of a shape. It's a shape that I do naturally. And it come out really good. It's nice and smooth. So basically this thing is ready for finish, as it is. So, looking good. Share my videos, like my videos, and subscribe if you would. I got more content like this coming up in the future. So I'll see you here next time.